This is On the Flywheel, a podcast where each week we talk to entrepreneurs and professionals about the practical things they do to build and keep momentum in their personal and professional lives. Hello and welcome to On the Flywheel. I'm your host, Jonathan Mart with Flywheel Consulting, and today my guest is Michele Lesage from Energized. Thank you for being on today, Michele.
It's so nice to be here, Jonathan.
So this is your first podcast episode. It's a big deal.
It's huge. I don't know what I'm doing here.
For our many
it'll
listeners, no, it'll be great. It's just a conversation, just to learn about you and the things that you've done in your personal and professional life to make you successful. So I always like to start with just asking you a little bit about your background, what you currently do, in terms of career, and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. I am a Navy brat. And so my 7 brothers and sisters and I, we were born in different states. We ended up in California in 1972. Decided I wanted to be in accounting. And so I walked in the door at Pangea, which is a promotional company in downtown Petaluma, back in 1984. Most of you probably weren't alive. But
I was almost alive.
Ish. My point exactly. And they were looking for an accounting person. That was right up my alley. It was fun. It was a promotional company. It was young. And did that for about a year, and then they needed a salesperson, and I was told that I would be a fabulous salesperson. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I actually loved what I did. And here I am some 40 years later doing the exact same thing. I closed Pangea back in December 2019. A great timing with the pandemic coming up. Found a job in a month, and now I focus totally on the things I love. I love being a consultant and a creative person who has so much experience in the industry. And I work for a company called Energized. And we actually do the decoration. We apply the inks and threads to garments and ship them out all over the world.
That's very cool. So I want to talk about a couple things. First off, I did not know that you had 7 brothers and sisters.
Yes.
What's the youngest to oldest? What's the age spread between?
My brother's 70, and my youngest sister is 59.
Okay, so there's a pretty good. That's not too bad. That's pretty close together.
They're very close together.
Yeah, that's pretty close together. That's a lot of siblings.
It's fun.
Yeah. So okay, So you pack up and move. I mean, did you all fit in one vehicle? Did you have to have multiple vehicles? What was that like?
That's a very good question. Some of us flew, depending how far. We moved from Maryland to California was the last one. And my dad and brothers drove, and my sisters and I flew with my mother.
Okay. That must have been, yeah. I only have 2 kids. I cannot imagine, and I grew up with one of 4, so I can only imagine adding 3 more into there. That must have been absolute chaos.
It was wonderful. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a small family.
Yeah. So you have been doing this promotional stuff for a really long time. One of the things I like to ask people about is what is the best part and the worst part about what you do?
Oh, that's so simple.
Okay.
The best part is when they allow me to be a creative person. Of course, I can sell a pen with a logo on it or pads of paper or embroidered caps. But when someone says, hey, Michele, I have a budget. I have 3 months. Do your thing. And that's when I just thrive because I love creating completely custom items. And I've done it for Lucasfilm. I've done it for Skywalker Ranch. I do it for very large construction companies like Dutra. They allowed me to, just recently, to do a beautiful chair, totally customized. The worst thing? Oh, Michele, it's Monday, and I need 100 mugs by Friday. And by the way, I need them in Florida. Okay, I'll get right on that.
So my when you were at Pangea, my family's business used you in the past, and that was not an uncommon conversation to have because we'd always do stuff at the end of the year.
It was Christmas time, and you would change your logo, and you'd have different eggs, and you'd have different years on it. How do I remember that, Jonathan?
So it's not exclusively my fault in the past that happened, but
it always happens, just so you know. Sometimes people forget the holidays are coming.
Man, it sneaks up on you. Sometimes I like for those kinds of things, like the thing that you do once a year, you set the reminder on your calendar like 2 months ahead of time. It pops up on your calendar. You're like, I've got to do that for sure. and then you let another month and a half go by.
Or more. And it's December 1st. Oh, by the way, I need them by the 17th.
Yeah.
I said, okay, we'll get on that. So, but that's kind of my busiest season too,
sure.
Between October and the end of the year.
Yeah. So you mentioned the best part being just kind of having the freedom to be creative. What are some of the coolest things or the things you're most proud of doing over the years for people?
I love working at Sonoma State University because the outreach program, they like to do something a little different when the kids decide they want to go to Sonoma State or they've been accepted. Remember, they get accepted at a couple other colleges, so they try to send them promotional stuff that's a little bit different. Everybody can get a T-shirt, but they have pencil bags. You can call them pencil bags, but we created a much nicer one, calling it a tech bag.
Oh.
So I love working with orientation at Sonoma State and outreach and alumni because they have time, they have a budget, and I can be very creative. I've done custom duffel bags for Lucasfilm, and she thought it looked great. And I wasn't even done yet. And then I lined it with all the Star Wars characters.
Oh, on the inside?
On the inside.
Oh, that's very cool.
And, when you allow me to have some fun, I did some custom lunch boxes. If you ever have a one-to-one with me, and I don't know if I've ever done that for you, or I'm prospecting, I have an Image Masters lunchbox. And
that's cool.
I love to cook. And I fill the lunchbox.
She brought me cookies this morning for this.
And if I knew there was someone else here, like you should have told me, I would have brought him something
I apologize.
too.
You know what? I'll give him my cookies, and we'll have to have another one-to-one. I'll get some more.
Actually, Jonathan, I think I have another bag in my car.
Of course you do.
So we'll send that up with you. Okay. How about that? But I fill that with cookies, and I just leave it when I'm prospecting, and I come back 3 months later with another one and just leave it off. You're the cookie lady. That's what I'm known for.
So that's your secret to success is cookies.
It's cookies. I think I need to give myself a little more credit for that. But
and I'm by no means trying to downplay it either.
I'm kidding.
Can you, anytime you make something Star Wars related, can you just make one extra one for me, and then I'll swing by and grab it?
Licensing infringement.
No one has to know, Michele. So you've been doing this a long time. Before this, we were having a conversation about, I won't say that, but you are probably one of the most experienced people in your industry. And so what do you think, that's a long time to have been successful. What do you think is what makes you different versus other people that have been doing it?
I think it's experience. I think it's knowing product, because every week I research for 1 hour a new product. So I make sure I'm at the forefront of what I look at everything, not to buy what they have, but to take that and make something different with it. So having experience, knowing the thousands of different T-shirt styles and garment styles. If you showed me a pen, I probably could find that pen for you within minutes.
Of who
makes that
pen?
Who
makes it? Interesting.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm one of the older people. I know you're trying to be kind.
You look great.
You're very sweet. But I've been in the industry a very, very long time, and I am planning for retirement in the next year or so. I am currently training a new sales person, and I have this young man. His name is Greg, and We have 2 years of training because I do not want to disappoint my clients that I've had for 30 plus years, many of them, and give them some who's totally green. I want him to excel, and I want him to service them because I love my clients, and I just don't want to disappoint them.
I think that's probably, I would assume, an element of your success too, is that you care really deeply.
Oh, I care very deeply about all my clients and what they purchase. I mean, in fact, somebody said, I think we'll get this. And I said, open for suggestions. And I explained why that idea might not be the best idea. But again, we all know beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, right? So I'll throw it out on the table, and they'll go, Michele, you're absolutely right. My idea was horrible. But I'll go either way. I mean, my job is to make the client's dream come true.
Yeah.
And if it's with their item or with something I suggest, it doesn't matter. I just want their campaign or whatever they're trying to do to be a complete success.
I think that's also probably what people are paying for when they work with you too, is that experience, as opposed to just going up and Googling a business and calling them up. Is they're getting that level of taste and experience as well.
I think you're right there, but I think even more so that when you have clients that are happy with you, and it'll happen with your business too, they're going to refer you without even knowing they're referring you.
Yeah.
They'll just say, oh, I work with this great gal at Image Masters or something. And that's how I grow my business. I don't do cold calling. I mean, the cookie thing, I love construction companies. I just love working with, I don't know, men, I guess. I worked at Foreman Plumbing for years, many, many moons ago. And I loved the creativity that I could do with them. And they're just a very, very fun industry to work with.
Yeah, yeah.
And, entertainment companies like Skywalker, Lucasfilm, or the Charles Schulz Museum, I get to be creative for them too because they have a store.
Yeah, what a contrast, by the way, going from construction to Lucasfilm in the entertainment industry. That's a very blue collar, salt of the earth folks to, much more of a white collar kind of business.
It's different, but they're all fun.
Yeah,
they're all fun.
That's probably I would think that's probably also part of the allure, is that you get to interact with so many different kinds of businesses and so many different people from different walks of life.
Absolutely. And nonprofits are wonderful for our industry. I mean, I'm working with a nonprofit right now, and we finally agreed on one of the items. We have several of them. But everybody, those cubes of sticky notes that, maybe are 4x4. The imprint area on that, guys and gals, it's 4 huge sides. And each of those sticky pages has your logo on it. That is never going to leave that desk until it's gone. And
if you're like me, it may be 10 years that it sits on your desk.
So you don't write.
I don't. I always think, I love to have a block of sticky notes, but then I use one every couple of weeks or something. So.
But knowing strategically where to put your mission statement or your website, because if they're trying to raise money, you don't do it at the top, right? You spread it around so at the bottom because
it's going to be there the whole time.
Absolutely. So marketing is about kind of knowing how people use promotional products.
Well, I think that's maybe an interesting thing to talk about. From a marketing perspective, why do people want to do promotional products? Like, why is it important to give people branded items, to have branded clothes and things, as opposed to, spending money on, not that they're mutually exclusive, but why would people want to spend money on that in addition to whatever kind of marketing that they're doing?
The difference between promotional products and other things is promotional products are tangible items. And so every time you see them, you get a feeling, whether it's good or bad, about the company, right?
Yeah.
But it reminds them of the experience they had with you. And they also remind you of the products that you purchased or what ones are available. So promotional products remind them of you, your products and services. And it keeps you on the forefront, not just for a reorder, but for referrals.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think there is an element of you want to do a good job for people, not just because like you want your customer to be happy or because you just personally want to do a good job, but also because happy customers are part of your marketing team at that point, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's so much easier to grow your business with happy customers than to go knock on doors. And at my age, I don't do that.
Yeah. So your business is built really entirely on just in-person networking and referrals, right? Have
Absolutely.
you ever done cold calling or anything like that?
I don't think I've ever done cold calling, like calling 30 calls a day or something. A lot of people, when you're brand new in the industry, that's how you start. But I started with a small client base back in the 80s. But it's really, really grown to $1 million+ book of business. And I'm very proud of doing it, but I sure had fun doing it all the way. And I'm really going to have a hard time retiring someday, I think, but I will find something else to do.
To keep you busy.
Exactly.
So we've kind of touched on these things, but you have made multiple mentions in our conversation about like putting things on your calendar, setting time aside to do things. So how do you like, in terms of your approach to work, not just like your approach to customers, but your approach to work, what things do you think you do that are essential for being successful?
I'm really consistent. You know, if you're supposed to work from 8 to 5, I really try to work from 8 to 5. I used to work in a production facility, but now I work from my home, which changed everything. That was like eye-opening. But as you get a routine and you just follow the routine. It's just being consistent. You know, I love networking. You know that, Jonathan. I met you through networking. I love being part of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm in BNI. I'm in Provisors. All of them force you to be with people. And force sounds like a terrible word, but it's not. It gets you there, and then it's what you do with that after.
Yeah. Well, there's an element of your paying to be a part of these groups, and so there's an accountability that comes with it. Maybe that's a better word than forcing, but like, you know, you're saying, oh, I'm agreeing, I'm signing up to be at these meetings once a month, once a week, whatever it is, and so enforcing you into, you're carving out a time in your schedule and saying, hey, I'm going to go do these things.
Absolutely, and I'm always on the leadership team, and so you have to lead by example, and I think I do that, you know.
Yeah, that's I think that is really important. I think a lot of leaders miss that. You know, they don't. They say what is the saying? Do as I say, not as
I do.
Not as I do. You know, I don't think maybe as a parent that's one thing, but even probably applies to parenting. But for sure, in leadership, you know, if you're not setting the example, then how can you expect people to want to follow?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
And if you sign up for these things, you know, you want to get something out of it. And it's not just business. I mean, I've grown friendships from it. My very best friend, I met at BNI probably 17 years ago.
And for those that don't know, BNI stands is Business Networking International. International, I think,
yeah.
Which is just it's referral networking
group. Absolutely.
That has chapters all over the country and the world.
And so. Jonathan and I are in different chapters, but yes. We are in chapters
That's
together.
true. Yes, it is. And it's interesting because to touch on BNI for one quick second, I've gotten a lot of I expected, I joined BNI because I'm like, okay, I want to, network with people, give and get referrals, right? But there's a lot of intangible things that came from it that I didn't expect in terms of forcing you to like think about your business every single week, about how you're marketing your business, about what's working, what's not working, how to talk about your business better. There's a lot of practice that came with those things, in addition to like a little bit of a public speaking element of it and just being comfortable being able to give an elevator pitch about your business, like on the fly, and talk about it.
Absolutely. And I think there's other things. I mean, if you really listen to the people in your chapters or groups, they offer tidbits of information about insurance and auto repair and things that I would never think about. So I'm like, oh, that's a tidbit of information.
That's true. I do. Someone spoke to that. We have an estate planner in our planning attorney in our group. She shares tidbits about the industry and things to look for and all that kind of stuff. And another member of our group had a family member that passed away, and it was kind of messy. And he was like, well, he literally said during one of our meetings, I was able to navigate that a lot better because of everything I learned just hearing you every week talk about estate planning. Absolutely.
So if we open our ears, we really do learn a lot.
Yes. Something I try and keep in mind that, Ivan Meisner, who started BNI, says you have 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them proportionally. Yes. Yes. Because I'm not always the best at listening, so I have to be much more intentional about, okay, active listening, keep my mouth shut, don't talk over people. So
absolutely. And it's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, but
especially if you're wired to be a gabber, So I want to, in kind of the business discussion part of it, we've maybe touched on it a little bit already, but just what do you think most people get wrong in your industry or business?
Get wrong.
Or business in general.
Yeah. I think some people are just driven by numbers, and they just sell without compassion. They just do it because it's a job. But I never thought of my work as a job. I enjoy what I do. So I can't say I have to go to my job. I don't know how many times in the 40-some years I said I have to go to work today. I just go, I'm working today, and there's not all good days. We all know that.
Right.
But I would say that 90% of my life in the promotional world has been fun. And I think if work is fun, you're going to excel at it.
I really like the phrase you said too, is sales without compassion. That's kind of a powerful, that's probably ultimately the difference between feeling like you had a good sales experience or a bad sales experience.
Absolutely. I mean, if it can be fun and somebody's on your team and they're going to know that you're really going to take care of them, it's going to arrive on time, and they trust that you do that, that's everything.
Yeah.
That's everything about sales or any kind of relationship. I mean, we all want people to love and depend on us, and the gate goes both ways, and when you have somebody in your corner, it's easy to rely on them, and they'll call you over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think it's really profound too. I've always had a little bit of an issue with, I mean, I understand it, but I don't agree with it, is when people say, oh, thank God it's Friday, because I'm like, I don't, there's long weeks and sometimes I'm looking forward to like relaxing, but to me, more of what they're saying is like Monday through Friday kind of sucks all the time. And I'm looking forward only to the weekend. And I think that's not everyone may have that privilege. People may be stuck in different circumstances. I want to preface that by saying, but yeah, if whatever it is, 2/3 of your life, you're miserable for at least 8 hours a day, or only right above miserable, that's not a very fun way to live.
It is not. And I was lucky to fall into something that I really, really loved.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I've been lucky as well in the things that I've done, even when I was working in my family business and now doing my own thing. Both circumstances, I always enjoyed work. It was hard lots of times, and there were times when I needed a break. But in general, like, I never struggled to get out of bed to go to work. And
Me neither. But then I'm a morning person. So.
Well, there's an element of that, of course. So I want to transition just a little bit into talking about kind of some more of the personal life things. One of the questions is, are you a morning person or a night person? You just answered that. And then related to that is, do you have any kinds of like routines or rhythms? You talked about consistency earlier to your day that you try and stick to that you feel like help make you successful?
Everything in my life is.
That's great.
I have my certain times. I get up in the morning, depending on what's the activities. I definitely eat at the same time of the day, but it's for health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I either swim or I dance or I walk each night, so I have schedules for that. And the minute I let that go, I don't do the things that make me happy. So if it's not on my schedule, I don't do it, and I get sucked into doing other things that I should be taking care of myself sometimes. My son reminds me my hand is not spring-loaded, meaning, Mom, you don't need to volunteer for everything.
Yes. I've actually had that realized recently. For a long time, I was like, oh, I want to get involved in more things. And then over the last, 4 or 5 months, I'm like, oh, I can't say yes to anything else. If I'm going to have space for, my family and all the other things, like I can't take on anything else unless I'm going to give something else up.
Absolutely. And somebody goes, you're not going to go to this event? And I said, or dancing? Dancing.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like, this is going to seem somewhat silly, but I have a weekly board game night that I do with some friends. Now, due to life stuff, I don't make it every week to that. So, but sometimes when everything else aligns and it's like choose between this one random networking event or go do my board game night, I've done lots of networking events. There's going to be more. I'm going to go to my board game night because I haven't been in 2 weeks.
And we should. That space. We need to fill our hearts.
Yeah.
We really do need to fill our hearts.
That's
because then we won't give our hearts away if we don't have anything to give.
Oh, that's another good quote right there. Is that a Michele Lesage original right there?
I think it's something learned after all these years. How about that?
Yeah, I'm with you. I am. If I don't put things, what I find is if I don't put things in my calendar and schedule them, then they just don't. Then they just don't happen. Like, at least for me, that's out of sight, out of mind. I won't get to it. Now, where the challenge lies for me is that I have a family with young children, and that's has a much more chaotic impact on schedule.
Doesn't it?
And that's where I struggle right now, is to say, hey, like, to plan for things, but then also balance that against, like, kids are a lot more variable in terms of their needs. You can't always schedule everything perfectly for young children.
Oh, absolutely. But I have two best friends, and one was a buyer at a company for years and became my best friend. And the other one I met at BNI and is my best friend. So we get together and we put something on our calendar for 1 month away that we all agree on. Because we have children, grandchildren, and businesses. And it's hard to do that, but we make a commitment to each other.
Yeah.
And we talk and text and do all that stuff in between, but we need to put the things on our calendars that are important.
Absolutely. So how are you, as a person with more experience in life, how are you with
very kind
technology? Because I'll tell you, my dad insists on using a flip phone still. So...
Well, I have a new iPhone, and I check my emails and texts on it. Everything is on my calendar. It has an alarm. I have probably 17 alarms that are constant.
Wow.
Whatever the meeting is, and I just turn them on and off as needed. If I have an upcoming appointment, it gets on the calendar with alerts, by the way. I'm good with an Excel spreadsheet.
So you've adapted with the times as much as possible.
As much as possible. Social media is absolutely a no. My son's joke was, if you're wishing my mother a happy birthday, she'll never see it.
Are you like a physical card person at all, or handwritten notes or any of that kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't use the CRM program that our company likes. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud on this, but
I will send this straight to your boss. Yes.
Please do. Please
Just
do.
this clip, nothing else.
And so I still use paper. it works for me.
Yeah.
I see it. I don't want to have to go somewhere and look for it. But at the end of the day, what I didn't cross off that I wanted to get done that day ends up on my new. It's at the top, and it really works for me. But I encourage Greg, who I'm training, to use their systems.
I am a CRM user for my business, and because I won't remember anything about anyone.
But you have to put on your notes to go look at it, right?
If you're using it every day and you can set reminders in it, it's like popping up right in your face. So yes, if you weren't in it every day, then you would still need to be reminding yourself to use it. So
it doesn't work for me, but I
totally
think
fair.
I'm good with emails and stuff like that. So
I found I've had a lot like a very I'm a little bit, depending on who you ask, I'm either a little or a lot absent-minded. So if I don't write things down, then they just disappear into the ether until I, wake up in a cold sweat and saying, did I forget to do that? And so I've gone on like a journey between being all digital to writing stuff down. And I think that there is an element of handwriting stuff does stick in your brain better.
I think it does too. Typing, it's different than handwriting it down.
And the best success, I feel like the best thing that I found is actually to have like a digital list of things that you need to do, and then daily you actually write out what you're trying to do for that day. And so like one is like a repository of everything, and then you go through the process of filtering it and prioritizing it by writing it down what you need to do.
I think so too.
It's kind of my sweet spot at least.
But Alexa has become my best friend, just so you know. My son says mom's best friend is Alexa, because I'll say in the middle of the night when I wake up, I go, oh, I have a meeting with Jonathan at 9:00. Alexa, remind me to leave at 8:30 to go see Jonathan.
Yeah, I use the Siri reminders on my phone a lot for that kind of stuff, just to be like, for time-sensitive things that I know that I will forget, especially like an hour from now, I need to remember to call this person back,
Absolutely, because that hour seems like it was 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to, I set that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. I just know that I need an external system for remembering, because I will not remember until it's too late.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is like there's all this stuff on the internet about productivity and how to be more productive, and there's all these books about it. But really everyone needs to go on their own journey, learn about themselves, what they're good at, what they're not good at, and kind of take all the bits and pieces, because there's no, whatever someone's talking about is like, that's a system that works for them. And the thing about a lot of these things is that lots of times most of the time, one person's system, if taken and copied and pasted to another person, does not perfectly work for that person, because everyone is different. Everyone's brain's different. Your job's different. The demands, like one of the reasons that I don't rely on as heavily on papers I'd like to, especially when I was working in my family's business, is I'm up and down. I'm not sitting in front of a desk all the time. And so but I need to be able to like input tasks. I need to be able to like write things down, It ended up, I went much more digital because I always had my phone in my pocket. I tried carrying notebooks around and everything, and they would just like disintegrate in my pocket and all this kind of stuff. So you have to know what works for you, and then tweak it over time and say, oh, that worked, it didn't, that worked, this is good, that wasn't, and keep refining it, as opposed to just trying to like do exactly what everyone else is doing.
I concur 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So that's been a personal journey of mine. So I want to talk now a little bit about, you mentioned a little bit of the activities, but I'd like to also talk to kind of understand, like, how do you recharge your batteries outside of work? We've kind of touched on it a little bit, so that you have the energy to get up and go to work every day.
Well, I have an abundance of energy. I get up early, I work all day, but I've never drank a cup of coffee in my life. Can you imagine me on coffee? Really? Think about it.
I mean, I can. That I think you've told me that before, but I had forgotten. That is crazy, because I definitely am a caffeine person.
Yeah. So, and I don't drink Coke or anything like that either. So, water is pretty much my thing.
Zero caffeine. Wow.
Zero caffeine. So, energy level is really high. But to recharge my battery, I love to swim or do water aerobics, and I make sure I do that at least 3 or 4 times a week. And I love to ballroom dance, and I find that it's challenging. Don't get me wrong, because you got to actually remember, and then you got to make your feet and your arms do it, But it's good for us, and it makes me feel really good. And sometimes I go, oh, I don't really want to do that, but when I get home, I'm so glad that I did do it.
Yeah. So it's important to stay active, I guess, is really what...
It really is. It's good for us. It's good for our minds and our bodies and our health. And it's good for the soul, just to be happy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So what is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self or someone who is starting out in your business or just in business in general?
Find a job that's not a job. Find a job that you love to do, and love your family and friends. I mean, that's really, really important. And they're the priority in my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something I've tried to tell myself too, is when, like, the end of the day always comes faster than I'm expecting in terms of, like, how much I want to get done during that day, or how much is still left, on that checklist. And then I have to realize, well, I could keep working, but also I'm coming home. I have got an hour, maybe 2 hours before my kids go to bed. Like, they're little. They're only going to be this little. I'm always going to have more work to do. And if maybe my business isn't going as, things aren't happening as quickly as I want, right? I'm not going to be on my deathbed wishing that I'd worked more. It's going to be probably wishing I'd spent more time with my family.
That's what my mother said on her deathbed. She said, just remember, there'll always be more work.
Yeah.
Not always more time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that's really important. Time you just don't get more of. We all have the exact same amount of time. It's how we spend that time that's important.
100%. Yeah. And that's what I try and, tell myself, is because I've never been in a situation where there wasn't more work to do. Like, it just
I have never either. Never. I've never said, I finished this, I'll be done for a week. Oh, sure.
Yeah. It's never happened, and it's always going to be there when you come back, And also, when you're gone, like, your work doesn't care in some level. Like, the business is going to, unless it's completely and only dependent on you. But generally, like, if you work for someone, that business is going to continue whether you're there or not.
Absolutely.
You could have been the most important employee, but the business has to keep going on. And at some point, you're going to fade into a distant memory. And the only people that are going to remember you, hopefully, are your family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your dearest friends.
Yeah, dearest friends. That's also true.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's an important one to consider as well.
I think so. and then I always make sure I go on a vacation a year, at least one.
Yeah, to recharge the batteries.
Yeah, but it's not like I leave my computer behind. So I'm not good at that, okay? But
yeah,
I'll check my emails in the morning and I'll check them in the night, but I'm not going to sit there all day.
Oh, right. Are you like a tropical vacation kind of like sit on the beach, relax person, or are you like booked out activities and doing things?
Both.
Okay.
So a little bit of relaxation. But I usually go with my grandkids. I always take one of my children and their families with me. So they keep me very, very busy on vacation.
Yeah, grandkids will do that.
They will do that, But I sneak up and I go for like my 5-mile walk up the beach before they even know Nana's awake.
Oh, there's nothing better than a walk on the beach early in the morning.
Yeah.
Everyth's quiet, the sun's rising, just the waves.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, time to go. Gotta fly out right now.
Let's
go. So we're getting close to the end here. I did really want to touch on, you mentioned, I tend to ask everyone about work-life balance because I think that's an interesting perspective to get. You talk about bringing your laptop on vacation with you. So what's your perspective on work-life balance? How do you navigate that? How do you manage that?
I prioritize what is really important. I have to say to myself, Michele, you are on vacation. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have to remind yourself that. So I have an assistant, which is great. So even if you're in line to do something, you can push things forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can really manage some work on vacation without being there the whole time. But I do put restrictions on myself. I set a timer. I set a timer because
Timers have a powerful impact on your life.
they do. But you could sit there for, say, an hour, but it's really been 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really set a timer. I'm going to get as much as I can done in that hour. And my clients know I'm on vacation, and they really don't want me to work on vacation, but they still send stuff, right?
Right.
So, I do what I can to keep it going, but we need to take care of ourselves first, or they don't have me at all.
That's true. That's a good point.
And they're working equally as hard on their end, too. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just take care of you because you can take care of others.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. So our bonus questions here, I asked. There's two questions I like to ask people. One is, can you think of any books that you've either recommended or gifted to people the most?
You don't want to hear the books I read, but no.
To each their own.
Oh my gosh, I've given many sales books away, but now under pressure, I can't.
Yeah, I know.
I'm putting you on the
spot.
Oh my God, I'll have to come back to you on that. But I'm sorry, I just can't remember.
Oh no,
that.
that's totally fine.
Yeah.
We'll put them in the. You can get back to me. We'll put them in the show notes.
Oh,
afterwards,
perfect.
In the description, so people can know.
Perfect. Know what it'll look or see.
Excuse you. Excuse me, Michelle. Lots of people are listening and watching this podcast.
I know that, but are they going to go look at the show notes? I don't know.
Oh, I mean, people do. People
do
look. Yeah. I link to you in the show notes as well, so people can find you.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm also promoting you.
Well, thank you, Jonathan.
You've given me. So the last question is, you've given me a lot of good quotes already in this, but if you could put like something up on a billboard over the freeway that everyone can see, what would you want to say to people on that billboard?
We're all placed on the earth to be happy.
That's a good one.
Make sure you work at making yourself happy because you have that to share with others.
I like that. Yeah.
And I like to be a happy person. I'm seldom unhappy. And so I think happiness projects, and the world is drawn to happy people.
That is a wonderful perspective, because I think people focus on the negative a lot.
I think they do, but my cup is always half full.
I love that, and I love that you lean into it as well, that you don't apologize for that.
You got it, babe.
Well, Michele, thank you so much for being on today. I had a blast chatting with you. Where can people, I want to give everyone an opportunity to let people know like where they can find you online if they're interested in checking you out. Image Masters?
Imagemasters.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll throw
pretty much a phone number and an email address is pretty much how you can get me. I'm not a big social media person. That's why I hesitated there.
Okay. No, I know. You made that very clear. That's okay.
I did, but imagemasters.com.
And ask for Michele. And she will take care of you and make sure you're happy.
Happiness is wonderful. Thank you, Jonathan. It's been fun.
Thank you so much for being on today.
Okay. See you later.
See you later.